What are we doing here? What's going on? It's the Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris the Candyman. Follow me on Twitter at FFB Garage. We're having quite a night. It's a Tuesday night. Already streamed earlier tonight. Did a Poodle 2. Now got to take care of my slow drafts. Thought, hey, might as well go live to do it. Maybe that'll be interesting. Let's go ahead and get to it. This first one is essentially a regular 30-second draft because I waited so long. And shout out to everyone in this draft for me for putting up with it, but I'm literally never the one to hold up the draft, except right now. So, in this draft, it's a slow poodle puppy. I'm not even sure what this one is anymore. It's probably a poodle, but based on the looks of it, where we are, Tyreek Hill, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson. Yeah, this was my first poodle, or one of them, and I really wanted this start, so I forced it to happen. Now we have to make it happen. DeAndre Hopkins went. I personally like Drake London here. I'm cool with taking Drake London. The only way I could think about, changing up this start, who's a better pairing? And if I look at my Google Slides cheat sheet and I'm looking at what I've got for Tyreek Hill at Miami, well, we'd want to pair him up with Dallas or Jet or Baltimore Ravens. We don't have anyone in this range there. If we're looking at DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona, we want to pair him up with someone from Chicago or San Francisco or Philadelphia. Kittle's interesting, though. We do have Mark Andrews. Looks like we're going Drake London. That's the pick I wanted. And London and Atlanta, they play the Bears week 17 in Chicago, right? But they also play Indianapolis and Carolina in weeks 16 and 15. We'll need to think about how we can incorporate that now into the rest of our correlation. Really interesting start here. I think, we're definitely going 0 RB unless someone falls to us. I was comfortable taking London ahead of a lot of these RBs who are still up there. I know I'm probably going to come back and regret taking London over one of them, but which one to take today, I'm not 100% sure. Didn't want to reach. I don't feel comfortable taking Kenneth Walker in this current climate with Zach Charbonnet, Kenny McIntosh in town, and whatever the Seahawks are going to be doing going forward, it's going to be something different than what they did last year. They've got to. I mean, it worked for them to an extent last year, but the way they drafted all this offensive firepower, I mean, you got to see the change coming. And so the wins are against Kenneth Walker here for me today, right now, for him. That's the pick. Let's go back to my drafts, check out what else we've got going on. Another poodle whose time is coming up. There's a puppy who's even closer, so let's go there, because the puppy ones are really interesting. This one's been going on for days. You know that the puppy's closed. It's been closed for a while. In fact, the poodle's closed and has been closed for a while. But I've got a bunch of slow puppies and poodles going on. And this is one of those puppies. This is from a Saturday night about 11 days ago. I remember starting this draft because I started off really hot on this one. Let me show you the board. I'm drafting here from the 4 spot, and I got the signature Travis Kelce and T. Higgins. Oh, wait. With Patrick Mahomes? Yes. I know it's not as rare as it once was. And especially once we had the schedule drop, people started gearing in towards this start. I've seen a version of this without Kelce. It's with Jamar Chase that I also like. I don't think I have that one yet. But I felt pretty good about this one, pulling off the initial strong Week 17 game stack, right? Those first 3 picks. Hard to do. Hard to do meaningfully without reaching as well. And I feel really good about Patrick Mahomes. Dude, he fell after Joe Burrow. You see Joe Burrow going 2 picks before him? So I'm in the right room. I came back with Drake London. As you just saw my selections, I am drafting a fair amount of Drake London. I've started to begin to offset that exposure by getting a little bit more Bijan, maybe leaning into the Falcons' run game. Some Tyler Algier, as his ADP is getting pretty appetizing in the 160 range. And even the mid 150s is fine, depending on how your draft's going. In my drafts, I'm not afraid to take Algier. I've been drafting him all summer, different ADPs. I think even with Bijan there, he's going to have some kind of role. Roschon had some kind of role at Texas the last 3 years with Bijan there. And it could be a touchdown role. That's the upside we're looking for. 37 minutes to make this pick, so I can continue on my diatribe speaking about the Falcons, but I won't. We'll move on. I did continue with an Aaron Jones pick. I thought it was a fine pick at the time, anchoring the team down with Aaron Jones, Tyler Lockett, Quentin Johnston. Yes, I did reach a bit for Quentin, but in this scenario, I really like how he fits with my early Mahomes and Travis Kelce selections. I thought that was pretty sweet. So wasn't afraid to reach here. I felt like in this room, they're definitely taking wide receivers at or before ADP. You see where Jahan Dotson's going. You see where Zay Flowers ends up going, and Michael Thomas. So those are all fair ADPs in those ranges that you would expect. The running backs falling a little bit. This was 11 days ago, so there's slightly different ADPs. I'm not afraid to take James Cook. I'm high on Rashad Bateman. Got Rashad Penny. Jerick McKinnon was a more recent selection for this team. Nico Collins, obviously, and MVS were the last 2 picks. So tying back in, 2 of my last 3 picks were Kansas City Chiefs. I also got a Houston Texan because I'm going to tie in with my pick 165 that we're on right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 picks left. My build is a 1-4-7-1. I'm probably good on tight end. I could go solo tight end for this tournament. I probably won't. I think I can work in some additional correlation. Bryce Young is the selection here at 165. Or I think I actually want to wait because I'd set up, thinking back, I meant to say CJ Stroud, who I'd set up. And I'm not going to actually take him for a little bit. So this pick, we're free to take whoever we want. I can get Stroud either of the next 2 picks, and I'm comfortable taking him early and going 172, taking him there just to get the guy I want. If I can set him up right here at pick 165, I'll do that. I've got a bunch of players queued up. Really, none of them are in the range, though, that I want to draft right now. Marvin Mims is here. And Jaden Reed. And Taysom Hill. Oh, God. I'll come back and see if Taysom Hill's there with my next pick. The next pick is going to be not too many. I'm the third. Am I the third pick? Fourth pick in this draft. 172, I would love to take Taysom Hill there. And because Chismo and the next 2 seem to have elite tight end plus, and then plus, I think it's a safe spot potentially to let Taysom Hill ride it out to 172. I don't see him going earlier than that. I'm willing to reach for him. I'll take Taysom Hill. He's obviously better than everyone's showing, but it's just, I think someone would take Knox over Taysom Hill. I've regularly seen that, even with Knox falling to his current 174 ADP. Michael Mayer is going to be a riser. Conklin is going to be a riser. All guys I can get. Back to the board. Do I want to work in some Marvin Mims? Yes. Plays nicely with my Kansas City Chief, and I've already got Quentin Johnston. Although, thinking critically about my positional allocations at this point in the draft, um, really taking an eighth wide receiver here is going to tie up a little bit of my option later to take the wide receivers I might want there. But hey, they're not getting any better. We can pull the trigger on Mims. I have drafted wide receiver in 2 of the last spots. So, and because we started so late on the running backs, I do feel like this is a spot. If I can pick the right guy ahead of the turn, I would take a running back here. There's no one on the board that I'm in love with at pick 165. This room has been eating up the running backs. So, really, it's a tough spot for me because I'd probably want to go running back if it was anywhere, if it was anything better than this. Obviously, Chase Brown is there, and I have him highlighted. I'm not as high on Chase Brown as I was previously. Peanut butter and waivers. Good evening. Man, it must be a late night for you or an early morning, knowing you. It is a late night for me. I'm chilling. I'm making some of my slow draft picks, kind of thinking through just all vibes, thinking through all the scenarios I could, but also I'm not kind of like hesitating to make a pick. I've really thought out my slow drafts. All of my big board, Superflex, and Puppy and Best Ball Mania slow drafts, I have extensive like handwritten notes and research at like per each pick. I don't have it on me. I left it in the house, and of course, I'm in the garage, man. We all know where I'm at, and so I could get those, but essentially I've memorized it at this point because I was carrying those around with me all throughout April and May, getting into, really detailed team building, and I was focusing on the divisional picks. And so in April, when we were doing getting ready for the NFL draft, I was super pumped on, can I get Chargers with Denver? Can I get the Raiders with Denver? And can I get Kansas City, with the Chargers and with the Raiders, and those kind of matchups? And naturally, some of them work out. So a few of these drafts that are these slows have that I've done all summer. I've really focused on that kind of correlation, and I haven't let that fall off. I still, even with the schedule being announced, even with the players being drafted, I still got to respect the divisions. And it's something that I've leaned into. I found kind of like naturally in a lot of the years, looking back on my redraft years, I'd want to lean into a certain team. Last year, I took in my home league, my 15 years going strong plus league with all my homeboys. We do an auction in person. So I'm thinking more about Chase Brown here. I was kind of hesitating on that. I think I will go Mims. Taysom Hill's a nice pick coming back. So I'd kind of talk through. I like Jaden Reed here because I did go Aaron Jones, but I'm looking at my receivers and I don't have a great Vikings, bring back for that. Do I? And I don't really have a lot of Lions on this team. I don't have any Lions on this team. I don't have any Bears. Do I have a Bear? Yeah, so I don't really have a big investment into the NFC North, we should say. Back to the kind of the emphasis on NFC North, the divisions, the conferences. Last year in my home league, the one I care about a lot, the one we do an auction redraft style for, and we do it destination, so we all fly somewhere or drive somewhere. Last year we did it at a lake house, a sweet lake house my buddy's got, that his family has, that they let us use. It was so fun, and we drafted over Labor Day weekend. It was a great time for me personally too. It was like double entendre, or just whatever you'd call that. The coincidence. It was literally Labor Day because my wife was going into labor the next week, so it was double. It was double Labor Day for me, which means I was the sharpest one at the draft. Where typically when you're with the homeboys and you're throwing back beers and you're hanging out and it's all vibes, you get loose, you draft, and sometimes you don't always get the most strategic players. And I was really sharp. I was on my game, completely totally sober for that draft. And when I took Tyreek Hill in the auction, everyone was like, "Oh, nice pick, nice pick." But then when I took Jalen Waddle in the auction, not a snake where the player could fall to you and you just take him. But in an auction, I'm intentionally outbidding everyone for Jalen Waddle. And I get a lot of scoffs and laughs, and they're just like, a double Dolphin stack. And I took it Tua-less because I wasn't big on Tua. So I didn't overbid for Tua. I took the two Dolphins, and I also ended up taking Mark Andrews, and I had Kittle. They were letting Kittle go for way too cheap in this auction, so I had to bid him up. I couldn't let someone steal him for a low price after I had paid up for Mark Andrews. So then I ended up taking Kittle in my auction. Really, really cheap. Made me feel great. It evened out my capital allocated to tight end. Although I had double elite tight end and I had spent up a ton, I was spending less on Kittle at that auction value. At that time in the draft, it was later. Everyone had spent their cash already. And we do it, I think we do $200 and we use actual money, right? So everyone had kind of spent their money. I want to say I got Kittle for like $12 or $15. And at that time, the wide receiver fours were kind of falling off at that point and going in that range. So it was a great arbitrage for me. I was like, why would I take a wide receiver four here? I could take Kittle. Ended up finishing really well in that league. I think I got third, but I was a second seed going into the playoffs and then just didn't pan out. Enough of that, although I do love talking about some of last year's battles in the redraft leagues with the homeboys in my home league. Back to this draft where we got a tough decision to make. We started really strong. This is a puppy. And I mean, I don't want to take too many receivers too early, considering I've still got 4 more picks to make. Assuming only one is a tight end and it's Taysom Hill with our next pick. I was going to try to potentially take Taysom Hill, or I could take CJ Stroud here. I could push and try to get Stroud at 189. Let's look at the risks, though. With a few minutes that I've got left, I'm going to look and assess what is the risk of missing CJ Stroud in this draft. And I've already done my homework. My backup plans are Jimmy G and Mac Jones. Got them queued up. Got a bunch of Patriots queued up. You can see a bunch of Raiders queued up. If I miss CJ Stroud, I don't really care. I'm going to move on. So that's the reason I'm going to push him to where he should be drafted, which is right here. I could get sniped. I won't worry about it. I've got Mahomes. I've got Kelsey. I'm zen with this draft. Everything else is just butter, just smooth. We're going to take Marvin Mims here. It's a sweet pick. Marvin Mims. Drafted. Love it. Team is Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Jones, James Cook, Rashad Penny, Jerick McKinnon. The receivers for this team, it's T. Higgins. So we've got, like I said, we got our game stack with Mahomes and Kelsey. We've got Drake London. I need to figure out how to work in a bear for this team. Give me some correlation with my Aaron Jones on the pack. I've also got Tyler Lockett. I think it's just a great value pick. I always love getting a Seahawks receiver on any of my teams. Quentin Johnston, I took him a bit early. I'm expecting his ADP to rise, but I can justify the pick. I'm going all out in the AFC West, which is why I'm still considering pushing, like I said, CJ Stroud further down the draft board, because if I get sniped on him, I mean, I've set him up with Nico Collins, but it's not a huge investment. I can definitely get some late Las Vegas Raiders, and I could fill out my tight end that way with Michael Mayer, maybe Hunter Renfrow late, or maybe my next pick. It kind of depends. we'll see how it kind of plays in. There's a lot of moves you can do there to pivot for the Raiders. And as well as I could go Falcons super late. Not as excited about that one. Patriots would be fine. I think the narrative that Mac Jones is terrible, while accurate, is a little bit oversold. He's not completely terrible. His touchdown percentage is terrible. And that is coming down to his offensive scheme because, newsflash, the Patriots didn't have an offensive coordinator last year. And how did that work out for him? So, I think we're set here. We've got tons of receivers. This is a draft where I could take 9 receivers easily because I'm going to need to finish out some correlation later on with whatever second quarterback I end up taking. If it's not already a quarterback that fits in with Nico Collins or Drake London. So, no, I could still save it. I easily could go 8 receiver, hammer out running backs. The thing is, I'm not going to need that. I'm only going to take two quarterbacks and 2 tight ends out of my next couple picks. If I were to take an additional receiver, I could fit in 1 more running back. Otherwise, I can go 2 running backs. And I'm feeling like this might be the team to go with a 6 RB build. A late guy like Travion Williams could be a huge win. If Chase Brown is there with my next pick, I will consider it. Although I'm not. It's hard. I do like Chase Brown. We'll see if he continues to rise. I feel like his ADP is slightly rising. I haven't drafted a ton of Chase Brown, honestly, in these formats. I have drafted Chase Brown in Dynasty. Let's move on to my other drafts. I've got a few other ones to pick through that are active. I've got a bunch to pick through. Oh my gosh, I must talk through this one. This poodle's behind the draft we were just in by about 5 minutes. All cool here. This one is still early. Let's check out the draft room. We got our man CG in the 1 spot. Shout out to CG. A guy I've seen in a lot of my drafts, this A-Train. I want to say I know who that is, but I haven't confirmed yet that that is the avatar of who I think it is. And then the rest of the room, I'm not 100% sure on these other names. It's always fun to check to see who's in the room. CG looks like he's got a really great team started. Let's put an end to that. Let's take the value right out of this draft board. Who did I have queued up? So obviously I'm queuing up Deshaun Watson here. Is that really the pick though? I mean, that means I've definitely got Amari Cooper. I like the Cleveland-Baltimore connection the more I think about it. And I've already got Joe Mixon. And I pick again. I want to check the board and see, because I'm about to pick at the 82nd pick in the 7th round, which is kind of towards the end of the 7th round. It's going to bounce off the wall. The next guy up is A-Train. He picks after my selection, followed by Baby Stevie. He's got 2 picks at the turn, and he's going to come back to A-Train. If we look at their teams, Baby Stevie and A-Train both have 1 QB. Are they candidates to take, in my mind, are they candidates to take Deshaun Watson? Let's check out the receivers. Neither of them have a compelling case for Deshaun Watson at this point. Also, we want to think about, do they have any Jets? I have Garrett Wilson. Because I took Lamar Jackson at 39, is it worth it to push Deshaun Watson to 87? Under the guise or the idea that people don't like to draft Deshaun Watson because he's not a good person. Well, I don't have a good person as a metric in my model, although maybe I should. It's something worth considering. It's an interesting thought. is there a big advantage here if I get ahead on running back? Because I feel good about my top 3 wide receivers. I feel really good about them. A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper. That's strong. Tons of targets. Obviously, I want to stack Deshaun Watson. It's not a reach to take him. 82 is his ADP. But if I don't take a running back and I let A-Train and Baby Stevie, they'll take James Conner. They probably won't take James Cook. They'll take David Montgomery. They could take Javonte Williams. I don't really have a lot of Javonte Williams exposure. I'm not going to have a lot of Javonte Williams exposure. My player take for Javonte Williams, avoid at all costs. And that's about that. It's the same take I've got for Alvin Kamara. I think I drafted him one time in the big boards. I had to check that, but I'm not really drafting him now. James Conner is going to lack touchdown upside. It's hard to say that when Kyler comes back, though, and that's the time of the year we're going to want and need him. Additionally, he pairs nicely with our A.J. Brown. I've talked myself into James Conner. I was thinking about David Montgomery. Without CeeDee Lamb, I don't think I'm going to go David Montgomery here. So I'm taking James Conner. Excuse me. James Conner, the last pick. And I love the correlation I get there with A.J. Brown. Ran out of water, unfortunately, so I had to mute myself for a second there. A.J. Brown, James Conner. Is it late at night and I'm forgetting my Week 17 matchups? I'm double checking right now. Please be right. Yeah, it's Arizona. And then the New York Giants for 16 and the Seattle Seahawks for 15. We'll find a way to work them in. I like how James Conner keeps me even here. I'm not taking tight ends very highly, which is rare for me. So instead, I'm focusing on making sure that my running backs are robust. Not necessarily a ton of draft capital in the first couple rounds. I went wide receiver with 3 of my first 4 picks. But then I came back and took running back 3 straight picks. Is this a good tactic most of the time? No. Knowing I could get James Conner where I did, I do regret taking Dameon Pierce slightly, although I love the upside of Dameon Pierce. We haven't necessarily worked him into this narrative yet. He's kind of the odd man out. Kyle Pitts was taken the selection before me. Definitely would have taken Kyle Pitts there. Could have taken JSN there. Could have taken George Pickens there, or Tyler Lockett, Deontay Johnson. Probably all better picks. Hard to say. But I do like Dameon Pierce's ceiling. So I'll appreciate that I got him. And I also, at that time, was hedging a little bit, which, well, not necessarily. No, was not hedging. Never hedge. I was worried at the time that Joe Mixon was going to get some kind of bad news, and instead of just saying, oh, like, just tank this draft if Joe Mixon gets suspended or if they cut him or something, or even worse, I don't know, like if he kind of gets blackballed from the NFL or something, I was like, well, at least I can take Dameon Pierce here and feel good about it. But looking back, now I'm feeling higher on Joe Mixon. I think he will continue to rise, even though he's a bad person. Oh, you know what? I figured it out. Well, I can't say it's the bad person draft because most of the team is good people. James Conner's a good person. Dameon Pierce, I believe, is a good person. Deep down in his heart, Joe Mixon probably a somewhat good person, but it's hard to say. Lamar Jackson, I know, is a good person. Amari Cooper's a good person. Garrett Wilson seems to be a good person.
by all accounts. AJ Brown, known good person, I believe. He went to Ole Miss, so you never know. You never know. Down in the Grove, they do tend to get rowdy. Sweet team, though, working on it. Definitely going to have to come back to some receivers. Going to push tight end deeper and deeper down the board. I won't expect these picks to come back anytime soon. It'd be exciting to see if I can get Deshaun Watson here. I'll have to give you an update on Twitter when I make that pick. Speaking of Twitter, follow me there at FFB Garage. Please subscribe to my YouTube at Fantasy Football Garage. If you're here now listening and you like the content, please like and comment afterwards too. Share all that good stuff. I'm just here sharing my thoughts, my draft picks, and I'm loving it. I'm loving best ball summer. It's hot best ball summer all summer long. Getting in all the drafts we can possibly. Got a good amount going. I mean, you can see my slows here on the screen. I'm excited about my Dalmatian. It is going slower than ever. People are log jamming it. Or maybe the right word is they're just like sitting on the sidelines waiting for the clock to tick down so that they can get the most information that day. I don't know what they're doing. Just make your pick. I get that it's like a medium stakes draft, but literally I make one pick every couple days on that, and it's just dragging along so slow. And I'm used to the slow drafts. By necessity, I've been doing more slow drafts. Not only does it help me get more drafts in, it helps me get more drafts in around my schedule. And my schedule's been very irregular lately with the new addition to the family. So shout out to me. But baby wakes up. I take care of baby. I put baby back to sleep. And live drafts with 30-second timers are not accommodating to that at all. Cannot multitask when baby needs. So, moving on, talking about this draft. I don't know if we're in a puppy or a poodle. It's a puppy. This is definitely a puppy based on how far along it is. Looks like a sweet team. I've got Justin Fields and Dak Prescott. I've got Breece Hall, Devon Achane, Damian Harris, and Jerick McKinnon. So a little bit of a lean into the AFC East. I don't hate it for those running backs. Steph Diggs, AFC East, anyone? Amon-Ra St. Brown, pairing up with Dak Prescott. Lovely. Brandon Cooks. Lovely. Jordan Addison. Lovely pick. Kyle Pitts. Come on, we love him. I'm starting to get worried, though, because my Kyle Pitts exposure is all the way from, you can see here, pick 57 to where I typically get him, pick 61, pick 62, pick 67 a few times. I think I'll have to look. One of my more recent drafts, I got him there, and it wasn't a bad spot. I did see on Twitter, and I'm going to pull it up because I was really shocked when I saw this. On Twitter. Oh, shout out Davis Pang. Just said he got a sick draft on Twitter. Oh, that's too sweet. Let's shoot him a SpongeBob gif. SpongeBob. Thanks. Thank you. This one's great. I'll do the buff thank you. All right, check out my Twitter. We're going to start getting, eventually our Twitter's just going to be memes, but today it's a little bit promotional for the channel, and I hope not in an annoying way. If it is, DM me, and I'll cut that out, but pretty much, so funny. Just memes on Twitter on the account, but also content, good stuff. A lot of research. There's a lot of research I've done that I haven't summarized in a way I can share, and there's a lot of teams I have drafted that I haven't summarized in a way to share. And so I want to get into more of that, but the drafts are calling my name. I can't stop drafting. I mean, at this rate, BBM4 is going to fill in July, honestly. So we're going to draft like 50 of those in June. It's like 2 a day. So plenty of slows, but definitely going to step up the BBM4s like pronto the more I think about it. June, July. Hitting them hard. And getting back to this draft, we've got a pick to make. It's getting super late, so I want to do this quick. We'll wrap up the rest of these drafts. I really like this team. It's looking lovely, like we were saying. You might be able to hear overhead. Literally a plane flying over. Nice. Glad I caught that. Classic muted. Classic muted case. Wasn't really saying much, though. Pretty much just saying, let's get back to it. Let's make this pick. Excited about this pick. Based on my... Oh my gosh, would you look at it? I always forget to check who's in there. I'm literally drafting with Paul right now in this slow. We've got Davis right now in this slow. I feel like I should know AJ Sports or Blease. Pretty strong room. Pretty strong room. And we started with, like I said, some AFC East combos that are pretty sweet. I didn't get Lamar Jackson. I did get Justin Fields. That's a move I like to pull. If you're on the second, if you're on the back nine, I like to say, or the second half of the draft pick selection, and you come across Lamar Jackson with your third pick, try to push him to your fourth pick. And if you don't get him, Justin Fields. If you don't get Justin Fields, sorry, you wasted your draft. No, but then you pivot, of course. Interestingly enough, and I don't know why this is, maybe it has to do more with the mobility factor, but Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, guys I less frequently find myself drafting. Joe Burrow as well, because unless I'm stacking him, I'm not really drafting as much. And I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but it's just what I've ended up doing for this draft. We look at Davis's team. I'll say it. Davis in this draft, he's pissing yellow, okay? Paul, okay, he's taking Bijan, and then he's pissing yellow, all right? Make me say it, guys. Then they hammer running backs in the middle rounds, as one is to do, except Davis likes the olds, and Paul stacking up his tight end. Myself, a little later to the game, maybe not the high-end value that they were achieving in round 7, but I was picking up Brandon Cooks then, making up for taking Kyle Pitts. Essentially. I don't hate my 4 receivers. I think they're completely viable. Especially with the Brandon Cook stack. That was a nice little combo there. The running backs I've gotten, I feel good about. Jerick McKinnon is fine. I hated taking him here when he's been free for so long. But with new information, we changed the course. So we're back on Jerick McKinnon in the 11th round. The later, the better. So, with my team being a 2-4-4-1, it is time for a wide receiver before we are completely submerged and cannot come up for air from said late wide receiver avalanche. I've queued up a few players, nothing that I'm super excited about. So make me want to rethink that and hit up the running backs. Although I can't do that. Not again. Not the place to take Cole Kmet, although it's ADP. I'm not in on Cole Kmet. I don't need him. I can take a Dallas tight end late, and what's the difference? You can't sell me on Cole Kmet. I haven't seen anything convincing enough. And when DJ Moore joined that team, I'm higher than most on DJ Moore. So that's how I can justify being lower on Cole Kmet, I think. I do have some Cole Kmet exposure earlier. I can't remember if he was going lower or higher though previously. I want to say it's been about the same, although he and Dalton Schultz had frequently been the kind of similar range selections for those. Thinking back to big boards, could be wrong. Just thinking back off the top of my head. No reason to take Jared Goff here. Someone's going to get a great deal. I personally cannot justify taking a quarterback here. It's too much draft capital for one QB. I don't even have a fifth receiver yet. And I'm not really planning on taking another quarterback. So for that reason, I'm out. Shark Tank reference. Definitely at 11:15 at night, you'll get some Shark Tank references in this channel. Long and short, we want a receiver. We don't want to reach. Our next pick will be 153 and 160. Completely normal place to take a guy like Zay Jones. I don't normally take him. But why would I take Zay Jones? I'm trying. What fits with this team? What really fits with this team? We've got all the time in the world. Wide receiver 136 overall. Adam Thielen just went. Alec Pierce had gone. I would have loved to have taken Alec Pierce, I think. I'm higher on a Mingo than a Chark, but I could take a Chark. Romeo Doubs is interesting. He could play into my Jordan Addison and my Amon-Ra St. Brown. NFC North line of thinking. I might go there. No, you can't take a second-year guy like Doubs over a savvy vet like Zay Jones. I don't know why I'm clicking into all those receivers, but it just gives me some comfort when I see someone who's put up 1,000-yard season, and I'm not seeing that. So, we've run out of good solutions. This is tough. There's not a really great call here. There's not a great call for how we can tie in this team right now. Scratching my brain. I don't like the picks I'm seeing. I gotta go Zay Jones. I want to lean into. Let me think about this. I believe if I look at my Google Sheets, my cheat sheet, Jacksonville's playing Carolina in week 17. We know that. Houston and Indianapolis. We know that. I don't really have Houston and Indianapolis on this team. Tampa Bay and Baltimore. That's not the guy. Zay Jones is not my guy. Romeo Doubs? I don't draft Doubs a lot. Is he the guy here? If I did take Doubs, I would be excited that he's playing Minnesota in week 17. He's got to match up with Detroit and Minnesota during the season. He plays Carolina and Tampa Bay in weeks 16 and 15. I don't know how I can fit all that into this. Of course, he's going to be playing Chicago. It's a weird pick. I don't like this pick, but it really fits this team well. Romeo Doubs, welcome to the squad. Definitely a player I don't have a lot of exposure on, so happy to work that in. My 5th wide receiver. Let's hope he goes off in week 17. And Jordan Addison is a nice little run back there. Little bring back. Let's check out the slow drafts. And I've got a puppy, I've got a BBM4, and I've got 2 other puppies. The BBM4 I might push till tomorrow morning. The puppies I have to take care of now because I'm going to bed. So, although I will be up in 6 hours, 7 hours approximately. Let's look at those puppies. We'll knock them out quickly. First, who's in our room? We've got Zhao. I see this name somewhat frequently. I'm not sure who it is. Other than that, Toby from The Office. You will get an Office reference in this stream at this hour. We got to wrap these up. Quick. This one is a puppy, and it's a 2563, which means we're at the end of the line. We're making our 17th round picks from the 7 spot. Bijan, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Great pick there. Thanks. Josh Jacobs, Drake London, George Kittle, Jordan Addison. So again, a little bit of NFC North correlation there. We got double Atlanta, which I don't know if that works. The more I think about it, I don't know how well that works together to have Bijan and Drake London on the same team. The more I think about it, this was a team where we pushed quarterback a little bit. We got Anthony Richardson at 90 overall. Nice. Dak at 103 overall. That's fine. How did we fit Dak into this team? I think we're still doing it. I look back and I see ARSB, right? Nice correlation play there. I don't think I have any Colts if I remember correctly either. Although, do I have any Raiders? I've got Josh Jacobs. That's my whole connection on the Anthony Richardson pick. Juju's a good random pick here. Khalil Herbert. Okay. Dalton Schultz. Why? Yeah, I don't know why I picked Schultz here. I don't like that pick at all. Tank Bigsby. Took him early, but I love it. Josh Downs. There it is. I did get my Colts. This was a good pick. Chuba Hubbard's to bring back on Tank Bigsby, and I like that pick. It's a good pick. Their wide receivers are pretty thin, right? But I did get George Pickens, like I said there. And I think Juju was a vet that I needed on this team. There's a lot of second-year guys on this team with Pickens, with Drake London, a rookie Addison, third-year guy, ARSB. So Juju's the needed veteran presence, balancing it from all angles. Chuba Hubbard was the last pick I discussed at 175. Jake Ferguson, I took him at 186. I'm starting to get heavy into my correlation game as we're rounding out this draft. I don't care about ADP anymore, and I don't care who else is on the board. You can take your Kenny Pickett at 187. I'm taking Jake Ferguson over him. So, 3 tight ends. We didn't need Dalton Schultz at all, but we got him, unfortunately. Maybe he'll spike. I mean, I don't hate Dalton Schultz. I just think he's unnecessary for this team. The ADP value says he was a fit. My receivers, I've only got 6. We're going to hit up a receiver who we can tie to our main game, which is Dallas and Detroit, right? I've only got Jake Ferguson on Dallas right now. I need to bring in a Jalen Tolbert. I need to bring in a Josh Reynolds potentially. I look at my running backs, and with a Bijan, Josh Jacobs, and then Khalil Herbert, Tank Bigsby, Chuba, I'm done. I'm done with running back. I need to go 2, 5, 8, 3 and take wide receivers with each of the next 2 picks. I'm going to need a Dallas wide receiver, which ends up being Jalen Tolbert. I'm going to also need. I think I'm fine there with my Bears and my Colts. I can get another pass catcher for Anthony Richardson. It would make sense, so I have one queued up. I'm equally likely considering a Josh Reynolds flyer. I'm going to queue up Detroit one more time in the search for the players. Khalif Raymond would be one to consider. I want to say that Josh Reynolds had some injuries that he's dealing with. And so, I still think Josh Reynolds is probably a better pick than Khalif Raymond, but it's a toss-up. It's really hard to say there. Neither one was a great pick. I spent a lot of time thinking about this one. I do remember this draft and what it's been going through. It's been tough at receiver. I don't have any Titans. I'm not going to keep hammering these Texans, although Nate Dell's an interesting pick. Cedric Tillman is an interesting pick. I don't have a great way to tie in Cedric Tillman on this team, but potentially just a nice value. The thing is, I don't really need him, and he's not a great fit, right? So I don't want to just take a great prospect and hope he has a great rookie year and helps this team out way ahead of ADP even. Chase Claypool, interesting, especially with Anthony Richardson. Very interesting. That's going to pick up some steam from me as I start to think about my last pick. I think what I do here, also Giants. Giants are a viable pick. Darius Slayton's a viable pick. Considering he plays the Cowboys twice, that's where I'm going with it. I'm going to queue up Dallas one last time. And I see that if I don't take Jalen Tolbert, I will be sunk. So what I do is taking Jalen Tolbert here, way ahead of ADP. No one else was going to take him, but I'm going to take him because I'm not going to be without him. My next pick, 210, my last pick, I've got a lot of options. I'm not afraid of what I can select there. And I'm going to take a wide receiver, most definitely, to end up with 8 for this puppy. I'll want to avoid bye week 11, potentially. I'm not going to fixate on it. Do I want Isaiah McKenzie? Not so much when I've got downs. I'm not going running back, and I'm not going tight end here. So what I've queued up for my last selections, I'm going to be thinking about, do I want to take the game stack with the Colts and the Bears, bringing Claypool into the equation? I can bring in Josh Reynolds from an aspect of the same thing for the Dallas Cowboys game that I'm building on with Detroit. Darius Slayton would play in nicely with the Cowboys that I've got already. And so it's an interesting build for sure. There's a lot of strength in Bijan and Josh Jacobs that could propel this team forward in this group. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Back to the drafts. Let's make our last pick for tonight. I think this last puppy I can probably wait until the morning to do. Yeah, I'll be up well before 8 hours from now. Let's do this one. I got a lot of drafts with Paul, a.k.a. I Was Inverted, on Twitter, and his Underdog name. Let's get into the draft. And he's a great drafter and really savvy guy. Always rubbing shoulders with him in the chats, in elsewhere on the internet, in the best ball domain. Let's look at this team. Let's see who's here. Okay. We've got, like I said, myself at the 4th pick. We've got Paul at the 5th pick. Mr. Lang or M Lang 91 sounds like a familiar name, although I don't know who that is exactly. Shuby Dooby is another one that I think I know who that is, but I haven't confirmed it yet. I've seen him in a few drafts. Dr. Stanky Leg, I swear someone just said that name on YouTube or Twitter like last week. I just can't remember right now who that is. And a little bit of a clown show at the end. Interesting name there. How this team has started, really a favorite of mine. Tyreek Hill, Tony Pollard, Lamar Jackson, Jerry Jeudy, Keenan Allen, Joe Mixon at 69. Great pick. Great pick. If it works out. Gabe Davis, 76. Rashad Bateman, 93. I'm not afraid to take Rashad Bateman at 93. I love Rashad Bateman. I guess I do. At least my exposures say that I do, but that's probably what happens when I'm as high on Lamar Jackson. And understanding Zay Flowers, is great. I think he can instantly step into a nice role in this offense. Will it happen year one? It doesn't have to happen year one. It can happen for Rashad Bateman in year 3. And if it's year 4 for Bateman, just don't remind me. I think it's year 3. In my head, it's year 3 for him. Pretty sure it is. Not going to look it up. It's way too late. Moving on. David Montgomery, another good pick. Pairs nicely with Tony Pollard, if you think about it. Obviously, I don't have Mark Andrews here on this team. I would have liked that. Jerry Jeudy, Keenan Allen's a nice little combo. Who else do I want to comment on? Odell Beckham was a reach by me, I'll admit, but to stack him up, it's like, why not? Got into it a little bit. Looking back, I regret not taking small JP Ryan there, but it's fine. If Mixon hits, this team's gold. I did take Jared Goff. I've got Montgomery. I don't have any other earlier, aka ARSB, Lions. Earlier Lions would be, there's only one. So, where do we stand? We don't have a single tight end. We have 3 running backs, 6 receivers, and 2 tight ends. We're in pick 12. I'd like to go running back here. I think I can. I pick 141. No rush to take anyone else here. Alec Pierce has been an interesting pick here. He doesn't play directly into what I'm got going right now, so I'm not going to fret. I'm going to look to the running backs that I'm focused on. Roshan Johnson's my man. We drafted him earlier in the live stream. I took him with Bijan. My first Poodle 2, I will say, it's posted on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at FFB Garage. And my first Poodle 2, I took Bijan at the 112. I don't hate it. Bijan at the 112. And I did take Devontae Adams. And then I had Roshan way later. But the cool thing was I had Bijan and Roshan. And I had Tyler Algier and Donta Foreman. Which I said it kind of backwards because I was thinking of the friendship of Bijan and Roshan from Texas. But they're not on the same team. Bijan and Tyler Algier, but I also have Roshan and Donta Foreman. Fingers crossed. The 4 best running backs in the league, right? Makes the most sense. It's the 2 run heaviest teams. What could go wrong? And so I did an interesting thing there where I didn't stack Justin Fields. I took him naked. But I game stacked him with the 2 running backs, which is pretty cool. And the 2 running backs on the Falcons and the Bears. So, all of that to say, we're taking Roshan here. I love that pick. It's great correlation with Detroit Jared Goff. It's a good value where he's at. His ADP is going to rise. I swear he's going to go pick. What would it take for him to go pick 120? Let's walk through that scenario. And this is not the best. This is just quick and dirty. Can Roshan go where Khalil Herbert's going? The answer is yes. There's your answer. That's where Roschon should be going. People will argue otherwise, and I will listen. I will listen to their arguments. I will accept their arguments. I'll probably draft some Khalil Herbert. I've got some Khalil Herbert, but that's a whole different draft. And now we're back to the puppy. I lied. Let's at least look at this puppy. Let's see what's going on with this one. Go to draft. Oh, I love this one. Herbert and Murray. Ooh, Herbert and Murray. That's like the sitcom everyone wants to be on. Bert and Ernie, Herbert and Murray. If you've got Herbert and Murray, you're smiling. You're feeling good. You've drafted a great team. I mean, look at the Herbert ADP. Pick 56, come on. Although I'm not saying quarterbacks are going to rise. Kyler could be the riser. Interesting with good news, propel him forward to the range that people are like, oh, do I take Geno Smith all season or Kyler in the playoffs? And the answer is obviously Kyler in the playoffs. But right now, we're still taking Geno for the whole season, worried about Kyler's health. Some good news comes along. Bada bing, bada boom. We're taking Kyler 100, pick 100 overall. May not happen. Probably won't happen. Could happen. So, giving myself a buffer, understanding the QBs are going to slide all the way back, down the board, lower in ADP to higher numbers. A closing line value is not going to be that great for this pick. That's what I think. So, moving on. How many picks do we have left? Who's in the room? Sam Hoppin's in this room. Also, MSOS. I don't recall if I know Squid. I've seen Cantaloupe for a while. I want to say I've seen him over the years, actually. But shout out to Sam Hoppin, the man with the data. Shout out to this draft board looking so good for me. Does it? On second thought, no, this looks fine. We can work with this. I remember this team. I like this team. Oh, this is a good team. We just need a Cardinal is all. That was the issue. We don't have a Cardinal yet. We took Murray, but we have him naked. I don't hate it because there's some uncertainty around. Was Nuke going to leave town? No, he's staying there. That was a weird interview on I Am Athlete. Shout out to I Am Athlete. Love the podcast. Love Brandon Marshall. I love that he shared the things that he's gone through in his life with mental health and his struggle. And, obviously he's just legendary on the field. And in my lifetime, in my era of watching football, Brandon Marshall is a name I'll never forget. Shout out to Brandon Marshall. Truly one of the greatest. He's got a podcast, or he's part of a podcast. And DeAndre Hopkins was on the podcast this week talking about what he was saying about the trade rumors. He didn't really want to leave town. He feels comfortable. He's been in Arizona for a while. It's his third season there. Yada, yada. Moving on. And he's like, no, I'm good. But if I did leave, here's the top 5 young quarterbacks I want to play with. Because I don't want to play with anyone old. Because I want to win a championship. And I think he's just naming young guys who are contending. Because then he did go on to say he didn't want to play with any rookies necessarily. Thought that was interesting. I want to say he did shout out CJ Stroud. He didn't call out CJ Stroud. He shouted out that Texans quarterback, which I thought was interesting. He also said another thing I thought was really interesting. I won't comment on. I love Nuke. He's just a baller, legend on the field. So much swagger. And essentially, he called out tons of quarterbacks and didn't call out Deshaun Watson. So I sent a little tweet saying left out in the cold. And it was Deshaun Watson being sad about not being selected. I was looking at Twitter. I'm not going to go find the tweet, though. But follow me on Twitter at FFB Garage. I'm Chris the Candyman. I'm here in the garage. It's late. It's super late. I got to end this draft. I got to end this stream. Let's land this thing. Let's dock this boat. Let's make this pick. I'll take a puppy pick. I don't mind taking a puppy pick right here. Chase Brown goes 175. I'm up. I need a receiver or a running back. It's totally fine to take a running back here. I went with the Hero Ramondre build. Took a James Cook. Took a Devon A-Chain. Got a Brian Robinson. With 4 picks left and not necessarily needing another tight end, not necessarily needing another quarterback, I need to make sure I'm getting, like I said, those Cardinals. I think it's an easy choice here. It's Rondale Moore. He's been on the board the whole time, right in front of our eyes. We will take Rondale Moore here. That's a great pick. And there's a ton. We can go Michael Wilson later. Greg Dortch, I love. I mean, it's Greg Dortch. Keontae Ingram. Shout out. Hook 'em, baby. Trey McBride. I wouldn't take another tight end here with this build. I don't think I need one. Could be interesting. I'm not huge on Trey McBride. Zach Ertz is also interesting. Surprised I don't have him queued up, honestly. I don't think I need Joshua Palmer here. It would be nice to have another pass catcher for these Chargers. I've got Gerald Everett. I'm going to go with Everett over Palmer on the long run and maybe focus on getting... I need a Denver bring back. I'm just noticing now that I'm Denverless. Somehow I'm Denverless on this team. Got nice Kansas City, Rashi Rice, MVS. We have to queue up Denver real quick. I know I missed Mims. Mims was the guy I was going for. That's the issue. I have Tim Patrick queued, of course. I'm going to queue Marquez Callaway. If you know, you know. That's all I'll say. Sean Payton knows. Think about it. Adam Troutman knows that Sean Payton knows. Think about that. Does Russell Wilson know what Sean Payton knows? We don't know. That's for us to find out this season. Rondale Moore's the pick. Let's take it. And then I'm not going to make this pick for my BBM. I'll leave that for another day. And I won't spoil that surprise. But thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a crazy stream. It's been a crazy night. Double stream. All for fun. Started the Poodle 2. Staying up late. Gonna go crash. And taking it easy. And we'll catch you soon. We'll catch you next time. I don't know when I'll be live next. It's gonna be soon. I'm drafting. I'm out here drafting. Next time I feel the urge to do a live draft 30-second timer pick, you'll find me here in the garage. The Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris the Candyman. And hey, thanks for watching. Catch you next